on, guys? It is Austin here again. Now I'm making this video as kind of an update. I made a video a few months ago about the best day trading layout for thinkorswim. I know if you're watching this, you probably day trade on thinkorswim. I day trade on thinkorswim. It's a great platform for day trading because you have zero commissions, and there are a lot of advantages that come with using the thinkorswim platform to day trade. Now, it's not the best platform, obviously. It is a free platform, and with that you have considerable downsides. Actually, this morning I had issues with thinkorswim in the first probably 10 minutes of market open, which is a pretty severe problem given that a lot of the trades you might want to take are within that first period as the market opens, and a lot of times TOS has problems during that time. But that's kind of besides the point of this video. I want to show you the layout that I am using now, and I think is the best layout I have come up with that is possible to create in thinkorswim for day trading. That means buying and selling in the same day. And this is the layout I've used for months now, and I think is a little bit counterintuitive to what you might expect, and might be you might not be using this layout right now. You might be using something in charts or something like this, and have active trader out here, and maybe you're buying and selling like this, or I don't know what you might be doing, but I think this is probably the best way to day trade in thinkorswim. So I'm going to kind of give a brief overview of this layout, and then what I want to do is go into more depth of actually how to create this layout. And I've put the link to this layout in the description, so you can just click that link and it'll pop up in your thinkorswim, and it should give you my layout as I have it right here. So I want to just kind of start with just an overview of the setup. Starting in the top left, I have my account info up here. You can have this or not have this. You can actually even copy all the things I have included in the account info here. One of the things I like to include is total commissions and fees year to date. thinkorswim won't put that in your account info by default, I don't think. And if you're day trading, I would highly recommend having that, because there's a hidden fee that the SEC charges actually based on how much capital you're putting in for each one of your trades. So again, it revolves around that capital, but again, just having that there so that you're constantly kind of thinking back in mind, like, oh, how much am I spending on these trades? Because again, there's no commissions, but there is actually a fee that's kind of a hidden fee that not a lot of people know about. So I would recommend having that there. Your day trading buying power, obviously, and then kind of coming down here, I like to have this watch list here. This indexes watch list, and again, to create a watch list, you just come down here to the bottom right, this plus button down here. Click that plus button, and then you just add a watch list there. And I have this first watch list I have, as you can see, I have 4 watch lists here. And this first one is just indexes. So I just have gold, silver, the market, the SPY, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the dollar. And I just have all these sorts of indexes that I use, and I'm constantly looking at kind of throughout the day, like, oh, how's the market doing, just to give me kind of a general gauge of what's going on. And so this is just one of the watch lists that I have. I'm pretty sure indexes, I feel like that is a standard watch list maybe that they have in here. I'm not even sure if this is something I created or something in thinkorswim, but you can definitely create this for yourself. And then I just like to have the last net change and percent change, and you just click this gear customize, and you can add those things from here. You just hit add items. And again, what I want to do in this video is really go more in depth of how to actually create this setup and talk about kind of how to use thinkorswim, because a lot of the feedback I got on my last video was that okay, great, we like your setup, but like really show us how to create it, because I kind of took for granted that people really know how to use the platform, and when you first start using the platform, it can be a little bit confusing. So it's just kind of that process of getting the hang of it. So again, I want to go in more depth on how to actually create this setup. So then the next watch list I have right here is Gap Up, and this is something you can find right here in public, G to R. It's right here, Gap Up. This is exactly what I've got, and this just shows me day to day, what is gapping up on the day. So what small caps are moving, and what are people looking at. And all of these watch lists, you'll notice I sort by volume. All of these watches, okay, this one I guess is not sorted by volume. There, now it is. I would always have that sorted by volume. All of these, because volume is really the gauge that you have as to what is everyone looking at. What is the stock that everyone is looking at, and that is kind of that would definitely be how I sort all my watch lists by volume. I suppose you could sort by net change or percent change or anything like that, but I definitely prefer volume. And as you can see, I kind of have the numbers cut off. I have this watch list literally as this is as close as I can put it to the edge because I want all this space not to be watch list and have everything else. I want as much space for everything else, so I make the watch list as small as it possibly can be without putting it all the way kind of to the edge like this, because I want those watch lists there. I keep them out. If your monitor is big enough, you can definitely afford to keep your watch list out, and you can just click this and your watch list goes away, click it, comes out again. And then I keep this as far in as I can without it going all the way to the edge. And so that does cut off the numbers a little bit, but this gives me the general gist. I can see 1.7 billion shares traded on this stock today. And what you should note too is pull this out. And what's really crucial is you want this to all be linked. Every box in here is linked. I have it on the number 4. And what this does is that makes it so that when you click one of these symbols, boom, it pops up over here because it's linked over here. And I'll get into kind of how to create the rest of this in a minute. But the point is that you want everything to be linked to the same letter. And again, we'll get to the rest of this in just a minute. But everything you want to be able to click and have it show up everywhere. So if I unlink this, you'll see it shows up as this icon here. So you want to click this icon and make sure it's on that number that you have everything else set to. Indexes, you can see I have indexes set to the number 1 because I would never click. I don't trade these. These are futures, so that's kind of an exception. But again, you kind of want everything on that number 4. So everything. Let me put that back to how it was. And then the next watch list I have here is the watch list that I most frequently use. This is my personal watch list that I created, and this changes. I change this almost every day. These are just the stocks that are moving right now and the stocks that I am paying attention to. And this is just my personal watch list. This is just what I'm watching and might want to trade. So tomorrow morning I'll wake up, I'll look at this watch list. I might add one that's gapping up a lot. I might take one away, like Uber. I don't know. I remember adding this a long time ago. I might take that out. I'm not really interested in trading that. So again, this changes day to day, and this is my personal watch list. So this isn't one that's preset. I created this watch list and just add and take away stocks, and I kind of mark these rows of ones that okay, these are the ones I'm really focusing on today. These are ones that I want to be looking at. And I kind of just keep tabs on all these, and again I sort them by volume because the volume is really the gauge of what do I want to be trading today, what is everyone looking at, and this is kind of the crucial gauge. And then I just have this percentage change and of course the price, and that's really all there is to that. So this is my personal watch list that I have here. The next one I have is top 10 net loss. The reason I have this is because sometimes I'm interested in shorting stocks, and I don't know, I don't really use this watch list. I guess I could minimize this and I could do without it. So I guess this last one I would say you can kind of just do whatever you want, have whatever you want in there, and yeah, that's all there is to it. Trader TV, sometimes you can watch CNBC or whatever. I think I added this, but usually I wouldn't have this, and it'd just be like this. So those are the watch lists. I want to get into the rest of the setup though, because there is a lot to this. The first thing I want to point out is that I day trade in this trade tab. I'm in the trade tab. So you click trade, and then you go to this fourth one here, active trader. This is where I do my trading. It's all in this setting. A lot of people trade in charts, and that's not where I do my trading. Charts is where I flip over to look at kind of the market, and then I've got gold and silver futures here. And so I do kind of monitor this throughout the day, but this is just as it is, and I don't change it. I look at 5-minute, and I use charts for looking at futures basically. And then trade is really the tab that I use. This is where I do the day trading. It's all in just trade. And the first thing you'll notice too is right over here, you can click how many grids you want. So I can make this 4 grids, and you can see everything just shrunk into a fourth of the screen, and I've got 3 more grids here that I can add tickers to. And if I put Apple in here, you'll see it just pulls up a chart of Apple. It doesn't duplicate everything I've got going on in this grid. So again, I just use one grid, and what I'll do is I want to reset this just to show you guys any unsaved adjustments will be lost. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So you'll see this is probably how your active trader looks right now. It's probably looking something like this. And in this setting, you can see there's kind of the two boxes here. So you've got this box, this is all one box, and this is all one box. And how you can identify the different boxes is by looking up here and how many boxes you've got, but then also you've got this tab on the right. These tabs here, these are really, really important, and this is what I use. I click these. You can activate and deactivate these. So this C stands for chart. If you hover over it, it'll tell you chart. And so if you can see that this is activated right now because it's kind of grayed out like that. So if I unclick that, you can see it turns to that darker gray, and now we no longer have that chart here. So when you click these, it activates them. So I click C2, that's chart number 2, and another chart pulls up here. It's kind of wonky, it's very like elongated. That's just because of the layout of the fact that we have this other kind of grid going on down here. And so if you want to change the amount of grids you have, it's all in here. Now for me, I use one grid, one. And the reason for that is I have everything I need in this tab, these tabs on the right. Everything I need is in here. So what I have going on is chart. I have chart activated, chart 2, chart 3. So I've got 3 charts. Then I've got the active trader, time and sales, and the level 2, and the live news. This really is the skeleton of my layout. So this is, if you just click these, this is like basically the skeleton of what I've got. And all I've done is just moved things around and then added my studies and changed a lot of different things here and there. But this is the general gist of kind of what I have going on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back and click this here. So this is how I had it before generally. Actually, what I'm going to do is again, I posted the link to my setup. So it's called Please Subscribe If You Like This Layout, which you should subscribe if you like this layout. So I'll click this, and this is going to load in my workspace right here. And this is exactly how you just saw it before. I'm going to private that. I'm going to edit all this so that you don't see my account number and all that. But this is essentially how you just saw it before when I opened it. So hopefully when you click that link, you'll see that it opens up like this. But again, I kind of want to show you how I've done it, and so that was what I was doing there by showing you. If you reset it, I just pulled it up probably how you are going to see it, and then all it is from there is just clicking these tabs. So I've got the level 2 live news activated, chart 3, chart 2, and chart active trader, time and sales, and those are all the key elements I use. I used to, if you watched my last setup, my last layout video, this is the updated version, I didn't used to have live news here. It used to just be like this, but now I kind of like to have live news, so I stick that up here. And you can choose to, maybe you don't want level 2 there because you've already got the ladder here and you've got the level 2 here. The reason I do have level 2, the reason I have the ladder and level 2 here is because on some stocks, like with GameStop is a very relevant example right now, the spreads on GameStop are such that here you see every point on the ladder is separated only by 1 cent. Well, the spreads on GameStop are like $1 or $2. So the bid will be maybe showing up here, and then the ask you don't even get to see. So it's so spread out that you don't really get to see it. Versus on the level 2 here, you can really see kind of the bid and the ask presented in a different way. And here they may be so spread out that you don't get to see them all on the same page there. I do want to also share with you guys kind of like how I've got this sorted out here. So I've got join the bid, buy market, sell market, join the ask, cancel all, and flatten, and then my quantities here. And then I just added this sell the bid button here. You don't really need to have this. You can have hotkeys set up for all of this, by the way. And then I've got my TIF here for different time frames for your orders. And that's really all it is. And all of that is you're able to change right here on this gear. So you can see it's all sorted right here. You got first line, which is here, and then second line, which is here. So you can see I've got join the bid, buy market, sell market, and by default it will be different than this. But there's a reason that for me personally in my in my day trading and how I trade, these are the buttons that I like to have. If I'm canceling, I want to be canceling all, and I like to have this flatten. I think reverse is there by default. I took that off, don't need that. So it's really just about your preference and what you want to have there, and you know, that's all there is to that. So it's all you're able to edit all of that in here and add and take away, just like you would do on your watch list. So that is that. And then for me personally, for whatever reason, every time I open thinkorswim, it pulls this up as a 5-minute. But for me, I've got chart 1 here, chart 2 here, and chart 3 here. I've got 1 minute, 5 minute, and a daily chart. And because when I day trade, I like to look at kind of the different time frames, all kind of here on this, all represented here on the same page. Like, what's the daily looking like? What's the 1 minute? What's the 5 minute looking at? So I've got all the different setups, and that's just personally how I like to trade. So starting with the 1 minute, and by the way, I've got the same studies I've got on the 5 minute and 1 minute, exact same studies. So let's look into my studies right here. I've got VWAP, a 9 moving average, 20 moving average, and a 200, or these are simple moving averages, the 20 and the 200. This is just, again, personal preference. These are just the indicators and what I like to have on my chart. So when you add those studies, they'll show up here. And then I've edited my VWAP to look like that. By default, it won't look like that. I'm going to pull up my settings here just so you can copy them if you want. But again, you should be able to get all this from the link that I put in the description. But this is how I have it set up. The upper band, I'm not even showing that plot. There is no upper band. There is no lower band. I'm not even showing that. The only one I'm showing there is in the middle, and that's that yellow dotted line there. And then again, this is very simple. This is a 9 moving average exponential and a simple moving average on the 20, and the 200 is that green line. And that's all that is there on this chart. And then I've got the volume subgraph, so I'll go into the settings. Again, this isn't, so I just clicked on studies. Those were the studies. Now I'm going to click on settings. You can see my chart settings. You can activate, deactivate, show trades if you want your trades to show up. And then other than that, I'll show you for the volume. You want show price subgraph. Oh, oops, no, my bad. That was not the right thing. You want to look at overlap volume. If you have this checked, it will overlap the volume. I like having the volume kind of separate as its own thing going on here. And then by default, volume will show up as these blue lines. If you want to change that, that's an appearance, and you check this here, color as symbol ticks, and that will show up as green and red. Again, you should be able to get all of this from that link. If you are using that link, I ask that you hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and then that's all I really want from you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this content and do value it. And again, all those same studies and everything, it's all here on the 5 minute as well. The only difference is the time frame, and I have it a little smaller because I'll be usually looking at that 1 minute chart. Sometimes I flip this over to a 3 minute chart. I've got my 3 minute chart here if I want to look at that. And then the daily chart is a little bit different. You can have the volume here. I like to have the volume because I think volume on the daily chart is really important. And I have that just this on the daily time frame. And then other than that, my studies are a little bit different. I've got that got the 9, 200, and a 50 on the daily chart instead of a 20. And you can see this 200 moving average is right down here. This isn't a great example. Maybe we'll flip to a different stock. Like Tesla, maybe. Let's zoom out a little bit here. There's that 200, which comes in thicker. It's a thicker pink there. So if you go into studies and look at this 200, click on the settings for that. I have the width as 2 instead of maybe 1 it was before, and that's just that. And you might be thinking, oh, how do you get your line, like your price? You have these lines here and all that. All that is I've done this tool here allows you to kind of use different tools on your chart and start drawing on your chart and stuff. And I'm just using this price level, and I just double click, and my price level is set right there. And then you can click Edit Properties. I've made the color blue, the width 1, all my settings are here on kind of how I have that price level, and then you just hit save as default, and then every time you set a price level, it'll show up as that color and using all those same settings, and that's all I've done with that. Same with this line here. And what I like about this is when I hover over this graph, it has the tool here, but if I'm hovering over this graph, I have the tool that I have here. So here I'm clicking and making a price level, and then here I'm making a trend line. So it's really dynamic like that, and having kind of 3 different charts here is really important. And again, zooming out again, I am in the trade tab, active trader, and then I have all these little elements clicked here on the right. And when the market's open, you'll see the time and sales going and everything is working. News is coming in. It's all very kind of stale right now, but yeah, that's all there is to the setup. If you do have any questions, put them in the comments below and I will answer them. But everything you should be able to get everything from that link that I put. And I do hope you guys like and subscribe for this content. And yeah, comment anything else you want to know about thinkorswim or the platform or about my strategy or anything else. And the Discord link is in the description as well, so you can click that and we'll chat. And yeah, I hope I went over everything on this. There are a couple, there are some more things I could get into. In your settings, you can have your hotkeys set up and use that instead of the buttons over here. You should want to make sure that you have active trader. You definitely want your limit here to be 0. I have this set as every 3 seconds. There's certain settings here that you can tinker with as well, and you want to have set for day trading in thinkorswim. But this hopefully gave you the general gist of the layout, and yeah, click that link in the description. It'll give you my layout, and that's all there is to it. So that's it from me, and have a good rest of your day, and please subscribe if you like this content. This is what I do. So all right, thanks again. Thanks for watching, you guys.